Hello and welcome to day 15 of my 31 Days of Horror. I'm Joey Hollywood, and the movie I watched today was Nosferatu the Vampyre, the remake of the silent classic. Now, I have not heard of this movie till just a month ago, and since it comes from the director of Fritz Coraldo, I am very much surprised I haven't heard of it. But now that I have seen it, I'm very happy I did. I very much enjoyed this film, but that's not to say it didn't have a few flaws. Or at least what I interpreted as flaws. The movie, like the original film, is very visual, which is the proper way to go in my opinion when remaking a silent film. It's essentially an art house film, and in recent years I've become very much attached to art house movies. However, the faults shine through in other areas. Yes, the movie is very visual, and I appreciated that, but there are certain elements of the movie that are shot for shot the same as the original, and I liked that. But they weren't, in my opinion, necessary shots. The most iconic image from Nosferatu is absent from this movie. And it's not to say that they just shot the movie around it because they didn't want to top it or anything. It just seems like they did shoot the scene, but cut it out of the movie, and now there's an empty space. Like, boom, he's at the window, now he's in her room. It's very disjointed. I also like this shot of the boat. Yeah, I just did. Another thing that stuck out in my mind as a flaw was the fact that a majority of the shots in the castle seem to be shot in a museum, and it's not like they hit it very well, especially since a lot of those scenes were handheld. Now, in the nighttime scenes in the dark, they pull off the creepy vibe very well, but in the daytime it really seems like they're shooting in a museum. It kind of reminded me of the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice, where everything's just clean and spotless, like they're shooting in museum pieces. And their clothes are never dirty because they have to return them after the shoot. I found that particularly distracting in the movie. Now, these flaws weren't something that will just totally ruin my watching experience, but they did distract me. Now, it's not to say I didn't like the movie. I actually really enjoyed it, and will probably watch it again in the future. There's a lot to love in the movie. The visuals are just a small part of that. The acting is, in my mind, pretty good. And for the most part, the directing's pretty great, and that's no surprise considering who directed this movie. I'd also like to note that in this version of Nosferatu, the Count is no longer Count Orlok, but now Count Dracula. I'd also like to say, yes, I know I said Count Orlok's name wrong in my initial review of the silent film, and I don't know where I got Count Olaf from, but it's Count Orlok. Now, when I talked about the silent film, I mentioned picking up the Kino Blu-ray edition of it, and I think it's only fair that I recommend a release of the remake as well. If you think about picking up this movie, I recommend the Shout Factory Blu-ray. Heck, pick them both up, watch them back to back, notice the similarities and differences. Could be fun. Now, before I wrap up this video, I want to talk a little bit about this other movie I saw called Shadow of the Vampire. I was thinking about making this movie one of my 31 Days of Horror, but I can't really talk about it without giving too much away. If you like Nosferatu, both the original and this remake, you should definitely go and check out Shadow of the Vampyre. It's a really good movie in my opinion. It's got a lot of name actors in it like Eddie Izzard and William Dafoe, who plays the vampire Nosferatu. Please check out my Manos Remake Facebook page. I'm trying to make my own movie. That's right, I'm not just trying to talk about movies, I want to make my own. We're going to have an Indiegogo on February 1st of 2015 with a goal of $30,000. And I need your support. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow in day 16 of my 31 Days of Horror.